quick.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Brían F. I'm the Artistic Director of Theater of War Productions. We're so delighted to be here. Back at SNF Nostos 2026. This is our third time performing in Stavros Niarchos Hall, and we are so honored to return to this amazing gathering here in Greece. It's a Nostos for us, a homecoming to come back to this incredible theater and be here with you all tonight with our project, An Enemy of the People. I'm here with 7 actors whom I want to introduce really quickly. To my far left, and you could just hold your applause, is Laurie Eustis, Marjolaine Goldsmith, Willem Dafoe, Jason Isaacs, Frankie Faison, Brían F, and Rafika Chawishe. So delighted to have these 7 with us. These 7 actors are part of a much larger company, over 250 actors who are part of Theater of War Productions based in New York City. We're a social impact company, and when they get the call, do you want to get up at the crack of dawn and drive in a bus to a prison or a military base or a homeless shelter or a public park or a beautiful Renzo piano designed space like this incredible theater, they jump because they know there's nothing more important we could be doing with our craft than what we're going to do with you here in this room over the next 2 hours. But to be clear, our value as a company, our core belief is that the audience is the main character because the audience knows more than we do. And we come to you with humility and excitement to hear what you make of this play written in 1882 by Henrik Ibsen. So the structure of the event is very simple. These actors are going to perform 2 acts from Henrik Ibsen's 1882 play, An Enemy of the People. As soon as they're done, they're going to come sit in the audience, never to be heard from again. And we're going to invite 5 members of your community up who are going to take their place at the stage, who are going to respond from their hearts and their guts to what they heard and saw in this 144-year-old play that resonated with them, that touched them, that spoke to them across time. And as soon as those 5 young people offer their opening remarks, I'm going to come out to you. I'm going to stand in the audience. We have mic runners, and I'm going to ask you questions we've asked all over the United States as we've toured this project. First from the National Academy of Sciences, where we premiered it, to Times Square, where we did it with 10,000 people outdoors with climate activists, to a rural community in Ohio, where we did it with a very conservative community. And everywhere we go, we hear the most insightful things spoken about the plays we perform by people who've lived the experiences described by the play. And that's what I mean by the audience knows more than we do. So the most important part, the most exciting part, the reason we're here is to hear from you. And that's why the lights are fully up, because we don't believe you should be drowned in darkness and relegated to silence. We're excited because you're a main player in this production with us tonight. So without further ado, I just want to quickly say a few things about Henrik Ibsen's play and how it relates to this conference, which takes as its moniker humanity to the core, or at the core. And this play is a play that's about environmental justice. It's a play about public health. It's a play about freedom of the press. I think at its core, and it seems so fitting that we're back here in Greece performing it, it's a play about whether democracy can hold, whether democracy and our democratic institutions, when influenced by corporate and political power, are strong enough to hold. And it seems like an important question we should be asking ourselves at this very critical moment, not just in Greece and Europe, but of course across the world, and yes, in the United States from which we come, where we're interrogating that question all the time. So it's with that framework that I would love for you to listen to the play and to note as you're listening words, phrases, moments that resonate with you, that speak to you here in SNF Hall tonight for whatever specific reason. You know, we're staying in Syntagma Square. We saw the protests in Syntagma Square. We know the general strike that's happening in the country today. We saw the protests yesterday. We know that the Greek population has no shortage of desire to talk and to debate and be part of this dialogue with us. So we come to hear from you, and we've come to hear also from this international group who's come from all over the world. So just very quickly, This play, written in 1882, takes place over the span of a single day, in which Dr. Thomas Stockman, the chief medical officer of the local health spa that he helped found, has run some tests on the water in the local spa, and in the first act of the play received back from a laboratory results stating that the water supply leading into the health spa and into the water supply of the town itself, upon which they've built their entire economy over the last 2 years, that the water that's going into this health spa where people are coming from all over the country and the world to be healed of chronic and terminal illnesses, that water has been poisoned by a tannery upriver from the health spa itself. And this has massive implications, but as a scientist, Dr. Stockman immediately begins laying plans to engage his brother, who's the mayor of the town, Peter Stockman, and other civic leaders to do the right thing immediately and fix this problem before more people are sickened by what he has discovered. And in the first act of the play, which we won't be performing, he invites several members of the press to his home and serves them a lavish meal. It's just all I'm going to say about that right now. But he serves them a lavish meal. And he gets this data back from the lab, and he sends a report to his brother, the mayor of the town, this small Norwegian town, telling him that the water supply has been poisoned. And in the second act, which we're about to perform right now, Dr. Stockman is waiting for his brother's response and ultimately waiting for his brother to come to his home to have a conversation about what is to be done about the water in their town. And as you'll see in the act as it plays out, several members of the press, the owner of the local newspaper, Mr. Islaxon, and the editor of the newspaper also come to pay visits to Dr. Stockman to pledge their allegiance to spreading the truth of what they've heard, the rumor is actually occurring in their water supply. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to our actors for the first of two acts that we're going to perform for Act 2 of Henrik Ibsen's An Enemy of the People.
Are you there, Thomas?
Yes, I just got in. What is it?
A letter from your brother.
Let's see what he has to say. Please find the manuscript you sent me enclosed here within.
So, what does he say?
Nothing, just that he'll come by around noon.
Then you should remember to be here when he comes.
Oh yes, that shouldn't be a problem. I've already finished my morning house calls.
I'll be very curious to hear how he takes the news.
He won't be ecstatic, that much I know, since I'm the one who made the discovery, not him.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Deep down, of course, he'll be pleased and no doubt relieved, but still, Peter is damn stubborn in his mind. He's the only person allowed to do anything good for this town.
You know what, Thomas? Maybe you should just be gracious and share the honor with him. Couldn't you say he steered you in the right direction?
Yes, fine. I couldn't care less, as long as I can straighten things out.
Oh, good morning. My...
No, come in. Come in.
Yes, do you have a few minutes, Doctor?
As many as you need, my friend.
Have you heard anything from the mayor?
Not yet. He'll be on his way over shortly.
I have given the matter a great deal of thought since we spoke last night.
And?
To you, as a doctor and a man of science, this business with the water supply seems like an isolated issue. I suspect it hasn't even occurred to you that it might be tied up with even more, many other things.
Yes. In what way? Let's sit down, my friend, shall we? No, there, on the sofa. So, you were saying?
Yesterday, you said that the water supply was contaminated by impurities in the soil.
Yes, exactly. The source is undoubtedly that toxic swamp up in Milldale.
Pardon me, Doctor, but I believe the source of the pollution to be an entirely different swamp.
Oh, and what swamp would that be?
The swamp in which our city is now rotting.
What the hell are you talking about, Hoffs?
The town's affairs have all drifted, little by little, into the hands of a pack of bureaucrats.
Come on, they're not all bureaucrats.
No, but those who aren't bureaucrats are either followers or friends of those who are. Look, our government is run by a small group of wealthy men from old families. They are the ones who control us.
Yes, but they also govern with skill and insight.
Did they display skill and insight when they laid the water pipes where they currently are?
No, obviously, that was a huge mistake, one that will soon be corrected.
And do you really think it will go smoothly?
Smoothly or not, it will have to be addressed.
Yes, as long as the press plays its part.
I highly doubt that will be necessary. My brother...
Pardon me again, Doctor, but I plan to take this matter up.
In the paper?
Yes. When I took over the People's Messenger, I was determined to blow up this ring of obstinate, pig-headed old men who pull all the levers of power.
But you said yourself it almost ruined the paper.
Well, yes, it's true. At the time, we had to pull back and retract much of what we put in print. There was a fear that the health spa scheme would collapse if these men were taken down by the paper. But now that the spa exists, we can finally be done with those noble gentlemen.
Be done with them, I guess, but we still owe them a great debt.
Which we will properly acknowledge in due course. But as a journalist who represents the voice of the people, I cannot let an opportunity like this slip from my fingers. We must shatter the notion that our public officials are infallible and beyond reproach. It is our duty to dispose of it, like every other superstition.
Now there we agree, Mr. Hofstad. I wholeheartedly believe that superstitions should all be routed out.
Well, it would be a shame to attack the mayor. He is your brother, after all. But I'm sure you'll agree that the truth should come first before any other consideration.
Well, yes, of course I do, but...
Please, don't judge me, sir. I am no more self-absorbed or calculating than most people these days.
Who would even think of such a thing, my friend?
I come from a humble stock, as you know, and I have many opportunities to see firsthand what those in lower rungs of our society need most. And that, Doctor, is a shame. And that, Doctor, is a share in the running of our public affairs. That is what develops competence and knowledge and self-respect in people.
I understand that completely, but...
Yes, and I believe that a journalist carries a heavy burden of responsibility whenever he wastes an opportunity to help liberate the oppressed and downtrodden masses. I know full well that those in power will brand my actions agitation and worse. Let them say whatever they please about me. What do I care? As long as my conscience is clear,
Yes, Mr. Hofstad, but still.
But
God damn it. Come in.
Pardon me, Doctor, for being so bold.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Islakson, the publisher of the People's Messenger.
Yes, Doctor, indeed it is.
are you here for me, Aslas?
No, I didn't know you were here. It was the doctor himself that...
What can I do for you?
Is it true what Mr. Billing told me, that you intend to get us a better water system?
Yes, for the spa.
I see, yes. Well, then I just came by to convey my full support. I will do everything in my power to help ensure your success.
You see?
Thank you for your kind offer, but really...
You might find it helpful to have the backing of us tradesmen. We form a solid majority in this town, that is, when we choose to throw our collective weight behind something, and it's always good to have the majority on your side.
Of course, but I just can't imagine that any special measures will be necessary in this instance. It's such a clear, uncomplicated
Maybe
issue.
so. It might give you some leverage. It certainly wouldn't hurt. I know the local authorities quite well. Those holding power are never eager to bend to the suggestions of outsiders. And that is why it would be wholly appropriate, I think, for us to hold a demonstration of sorts.
Exactly what I was thinking.
A demonstration? Really? How are you going to demonstrate?
With great temperance, Doctor. As you know, I hold temperance in the highest regard and work diligently to pursue it in all things, for temperance is the chief virtue of the average citizen, at least in my opinion.
Yes, well, we all know your feelings on that
I
subject.
should hope so. I think my commitment to temperance is widely acknowledged, and this question about the water supply is of the utmost importance to us small tradesmen. The spa has the potential to turn this town into a little gold mine. It is the engine of our economy, ushering in a new standard of living, especially for those of us who own houses. So we are eager to give the spa our unwavering support, and as chairman of the Homeowners Association, and as an officer of the Temperance Society, as you know, Doctor, I stand on the side of temperance.
At this point, Mr. Sloxon, I think that goes without saying.
Well, as you might imagine, I meet a lot of people through the cause, people who know me to be a sensible and law-abiding citizen. As you said yourself, Doctor, I have a certain influence in this town, and, I might add, a small amount of power.
I am fully aware of that, Mr. Sloxon.
Well, then you're also aware that it would be easy for me to gather signatures.
Signatures?
Yes, for the petition from the citizens of this town to thank you for bringing this important matter to the attention of the public. Of course, it would have to be written thoughtfully and with temperance, so not to offend the authorities or those in positions of power. But as long as we're careful in how we construct it, no one will question our integrity, I think.
Well, even if they don't like what it says.
No, we will not do anything that will offend those in power, Mr. Hofstad. No opposition to the people who can take away what little power we currently possess. I've had enough of that in my time. Nothing good ever comes of it. But no one can deny the citizen's fundamental right to express his opinion freely, but sensibly, with moderation.
I can't tell you, dear Mr. Sloxon, how much I appreciate the support of my fellow citizens. I'm overwhelmed with joy. Come, let's have a toast. You'll have a glass of sherry with me, no?
No, thank you. I never touch spirits.
And then how about a glass of beer? What do you say?
No, not that either, Doctor, but thanks. I never drink anything, especially this early in the day. I'll go and talk with some of the homeowners around town and begin laying the groundwork.
That's really kind of you, Mr. Sloxon, but it's hard for me to believe these tactics will be necessary. The issue seems to me to be straightforward and undeniable.
Government officials always move slowly, Doctor. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we should blame them for it, but...
Well, we'll light a fire under them all in the paper tomorrow.
No, there will be no violence, Mr. Hofstad. We must proceed with temperance or we'll lose their support right out of the gates. You can take my word for it. I have learned many hard-won lessons in the school of life. And now it's time for me to say goodbye, Doctor. You have the backing of us tradesmen, a small but loyal majority that will stand on your side, solid as a wall.
And you have my thanks, Mr. Sloxon. Goodbye.
Are you coming back to the office, Mr. Hofstad?
Later this afternoon. I still have a few things to wrap up.
Fine. See you then.
Well, what do you say to that, Doctor? Don't you think it's high time we shake things up and give all this weak-kneed, half-hearted cowardice a swift kick in the pan?
Are you talking about Sloxon?
No. Yes, I am. Now, he's a good man who means well, but his feet are stuck in the swamp, just like most of the other people in this town. They flip and they flop, moving from this side to the other, completely risk-averse and wavering with so much trepidation they never dare to step in any direction.
Yes, but Sloxon really seems to have good intentions.
It would be better if he had a backbone and stood with self-assurance behind his conviction.
There we agree completely.
Well, then I'm going to seize this opportunity to get these people, with all their good intentions, to finally do something. The worship of authority must be eliminated from this town. This blatant, unforgivable oversight involving our water supply must be brought to the attention of every eligible voter.
Very well. If you think it's good for the community, so be it. But not until I've spoken to my brother.
Well, I'll go draft an editorial spelling it all out, and if the mayor doesn't wish to take the matter up,
Why would you ever think of that?
well, I think it's a real possibility. And
Then,
if it
I
is,
promise you, look, right here. I'll let you publish my full report, just as it is, without edits or redactions.
really, is that a promise?
There, it's in your hands now. I take it with you, irrespective of what happens. You might as well read it. You can return it when you're done.
Well, very good. I certainly will. Goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Hofstad. You'll see, it will all go smoothly as it can.
I guess we'll see.
Catherine? Oh, you're back, Petra.
Yes, I'm just back from school.
Hasn't he been here yet?
My brother, no, but I've been having a long talk with Hofstad. He's very impressed by what I discovered. Turns out it's of much larger significance than I originally thought. So he has placed his paper at my disposal, should it be necessary.
And will it be necessary?
Of course not, but still, it's a real shot in the arm to know the independent, liberal-minded press is on my side. And, if you can believe it, I even had a visit from the chairman of the Homeowners Association.
Is that so? What did he want?
To offer his support as well. They'll all have my back if things get ugly. Catherine, do you know what I have behind me?
Behind you? No, what do you have behind you?
The solid majority.
I see. And is that good for you, Thomas?
Well, yes, I think so. Very good indeed. God, it's so deeply gratifying to feel connected with fellow citizens in such a brotherly way.
And to do so much good and be of use, Father.
Yes, and all for my hometown.
That was the doorbell.
It must be my brother. Come in.
Morning.
It's great to see you, Peter.
Good morning, Peter. How are things at City Hall these days?
Just okay. Thanks for asking. Last night, after office hours, I received a very lengthy report from you on the state of the spa's water supply.
Yes, and have you read it?
I have.
And what do you think of my findings?
Come, Petra.
Was it necessary to pursue these investigations behind my back?
Yes, until I was completely certain.
And are you completely certain?
My report speaks for itself. Didn't you find it convincing?
Is it your intention to submit your report to the spa's board of directors as an official document?
Well, of course, something must be done about the situation right away.
You use very dramatic language in your report, as usual. Among other things, you say that what we offer spa visitors is a slow, insidious poisoning.
But, Peter, how else can we describe it? Just think for a moment. Water that is poisonous when ingested or when it touches the skin, and these sick, afflicted people come here in good faith seeking better health, paying us enormous sums of money, I might add, to help cure them of their illnesses.
And then you have the audacity to proclaim in your concluding statement that we must build a new sewer system to drain away this so-called hazardous waste from Milldale and then relay all of our water pipes.
Yes, do you have a better solution? I, for one, do not.
Now, I made up an excuse to visit the city's engineer this morning and half-jokingly mentioned these upgrades and improvements as things we should think about considering at some point in the future.
At some point in
He,
the
of
future.
course, smiled at my apparent extravagance. Have you taken the trouble to consider what your proposed overhaul would cost? From what I gathered from the engineer, it will probably amount to 100,000 crowns or more.
That much?
Yeah, that's not even the worst part. Are you ready for it? The work would take more than 2 years to complete.
2 years? Wait a minute. 2 whole years?
At least. And what would we do with the spa during that time? Huh? Shutter it? Would have no choice. You think anyone would ever come here again once word gets out the water could be toxic?
But, Peter, The water is toxic.
And all of this, just now, at the perfect moment, right when the spa's starting to thrive. Many of the surrounding towns are well positioned to brand themselves health resorts. You think any of them will hesitate to capitalize on our misfortune and lure our paying customers away to their rivers and springs? Without question, they will do this, and we will be left in the lurch. We'll end up having to close the spa permanently due to all the costs, and then you will have successfully ruined your own hometown.
I will have ruined?
Surely you comprehend, Thomas, that the spa is the future of this town, or the only future worth mentioning. You must understand that, like I do.
Then what do you think should be done?
Well, I'm not convinced entirely by your report that the condition of the water is dangerous as you
If
say.
anything, it's worse, I'll tell you. Or it will be this summer when the temperature starts to
And I
rise.
say again, you're blowing things out of proportion. A competent physician understands where he fits within the system and acts in accordance with certain standards and norms. If he prescribes a course of action, he should know how to prevent the kind of negative side effects that have the potential of harming or even killing the patient.
And so?
And so, at the end of the day, the existing water supply is what it is. But that's just an undeniable fact. But in the due course of time, I am sure the board of directors will be open to considering whether it might be possible within appropriate fiscal limits to begin introducing certain improvements.
And you think I'll lend my name to such shameless deception?
Shameless deception?
Yes, deception. It would be fraud, a lie, an atrocity, an unforgivable crime against the people, against our entire society.
And as I said before, I am not convinced, nor have I been able to convince myself that there is any real or impending danger.
Yes, you have. There is no other possible conclusion, and you know it. My report couldn't be more clear-cut or convincing. You understand the situation perfectly. Peter, but you just won't say it out loud, because it was you who lobbied, quite forcefully, I might add, to place the spa and the water pipes where they are now. A major mistake, which you now refuse to acknowledge. Do you know, I can see straight through you.
You know, even if that is true, if I'm a bit overprotective when it comes to my reputation, it's for a good reason. Without moral authority, I cannot lead the people or direct affairs in the way I consider most beneficial to the health of the community. And because of this, and for many other reasons, it is of utmost importance to me that your report does not get delivered to the board of directors. We must bury it for the good of the people. Now, later on, when the time is right, I will bring the issue up for debate and discussion, and we'll do our best to address it quietly and discreetly. But for now, not a single word, not a whisper about this unhappy business must reach the ears of the people.
But it can't be stopped, Peter.
It must, and it shall be stopped.
And I'm telling you that it's just not possible. There are far too many people who know about it at this point.
Know about it? Who knows about it? Oh, please don't tell me you spoke with those newsmen from the People's Messenger.
Yes, they definitely know. The independent liberal press will ensure you do your duty.
You are an incredibly reckless man, Thomas. Have you thought about the consequences that may arise from this for you?
Consequences for me?
Yeah, for you and your family.
What the hell are you saying, Peter?
Well, haven't I always been there for you? Whenever you needed a hand.
Yes, you have, and I thank you for it.
I don't ask for your thanks. In most cases, I was forced to act to a certain extent in my own self-interest. I always hoped that by helping improve your financial position, I would be able to keep you reasonably in check.
What, you did it for yourself?
No, to a certain extent, I said. It can be more than a little embarrassing for a public official to constantly be cleaning up after his closest relative who compromises himself again and again.
And that's what you think I do? Compromise myself?
Yes, I'm afraid you do, without knowing it. You have a rebellious, recalcitrant, sometimes even explosive nature, along with a disastrous impulse to rush your opinions into print whenever you feel so moved. The minute an idea occurs to you, you feel the need to write an article about it in the paper. or publishing a pamphlet for public distribution.
It is the duty of every citizen when he has a new idea to share it with the public.
Oh, the public has no need for new ideas, I assure you. The public does best with the good old-fashioned established ideas, the ones that have worked just fine in the past.
And you can actually look at me and say that with a straight face?
Yes, I can. I am speaking straight with you today, something I've avoided doing in the past, given your temper. But I feel compelled to tell you the truth, Thomas. You have absolutely no idea how much you've hurt yourself with your sanctimony and officious behavior. You're always complaining about that, the authorities, even the government shouting us all down, swearing you've been overlooked and persecuted. What else do you expect? A man as exhausting as you.
Oh, so I'm exhausting
Yes,
now,
Thomas,
am I?
you are exhausting and nearly impossible to work with. Trust me, I have plenty of experience. You always place your own concerns before all others, and you always seem to have forgotten that without my recommendation, you wouldn't even be the spa's chief medical officer.
That job was rightfully mine. It belonged to no one else, and you know it. I was the first to see the town's true potential as a world-class health spa. I was the only one in the beginning who saw the healing properties of the waters, and for years, I fought for the idea. All on my own, a lone voice in the wilderness. I wrote, and I wrote.
Yes, but the timing wasn't right. Not that you could have been expected to understand this, given where you lived, off in the middle of nowhere. As soon as the conditions were favorable, I, and the others, took matters into our own hands.
Yes, and you completely mishandled my glorious plan. Or it's very easy to see what wise and visionary leaders you all
It's
were.
very easy to see you're itching for a fight. A place to put your unjustified rage. You want to take down your superiors. It's an old habit of yours. You just can't bear the thought of anyone having authority over you. You look down your nose at any official who holds a higher position than you, and you see him as your personal enemy. And somehow, in your mind, this gives you full license to use whatever weapon you choose against him. But I've educated you now on what is at stake for the town, and consequently, for me as well. And so I am warning you, Thomas. I am unshakable in my resolve to make this demand of you.
Demand? What demand?
Since you have not exercised discretion or refrained from running your mouth in front of outsiders about this delicate matter, which should have remained restricted as part of the spa's official business, we cannot now simply sweep it under the rug. All kinds of rumors will soon spread throughout the region and even overseas, and those who wish to do us wrong will invent all sorts of embellishments and additions. Consequently, it will be crucial for you to publicly refute these rumors yourself.
What? Me? I don't understand.
Yes, upon further investigation, you will conclude this matter is nowhere near as serious or as dangerous as you originally imagined.
I see. That's what you expect me to do?
Yes, and I also expect you to express your full confidence in the board of directors and their ability to thoroughly and conscientiously make the necessary changes to address the issue and put it to rest.
But you'll never be able to accomplish this as long as you keep patching and covering things up, I'm telling you, Peter. And this is my deepest and most heartfelt conclusion.
Well, as a member of the spa staff, you have no right to hold an individual conviction.
No right to?
No, as a paid staff member. That's what I'm saying. It's all. Now, look, as a private citizen, of course, it's another matter completely. But as a subordinate officer of the spa, you have no right to express any convictions that are at odds with those of your superiors.
Now you've crossed the line. That I, as a doctor, a man of science, have no
The matter
right
at hand is not exclusively a scientific one. It is far more complicated than that and interdependent. It has both technical and economic dimensions.
I don't
that
give
must
a
be
rat's ass
considered.
how you describe it. I will freely speak my mind about any subject I wish.
Absolutely, of course. Just not about the spa. We forbid you to interfere.
Forbid me? Who forbids me?
I forbid you. I, your highest ranking superior. And when I give you a direct order, you had better obey it.
By God, Peter, if you weren't
You're not
my
going to
brother...
stand for this, are you, Father?
Petra.
Oh, yeah. I see you've been listening in.
The wall is so thin, we couldn't help hearing.
I listened on purpose.
I can't say I'm sorry you did. I wanted you to hear every word.
You just spoke to me using words such as forbid and obey.
You gave me no choice but to use those words.
And I'm supposed to make a public statement retracting my findings and selling your lie?
We consider it non-negotiable that you make a public statement in accordance with the terms I have just outlined.
And if I choose not to obey?
Then we will put a statement of our own out to reassure the public.
Then I will write a counter-statement, exposing the whole story and proving my point that I am right and you are wrong. Then, what will you do?
Then I will be unable to prevent your dismissal.
What?
Father, dismissal?
Your dismissal from the spa as our chief medical officer. I will be forced to request your immediate termination, removing you from all spa-related activities going forward.
And you would dare to do this?
You're the one playing games, Thomas. Go ahead. Dare me. See what happens.
Uncle Peter, this is such a shameful way to treat a man like my father.
Be quiet, Petra.
So we're already forming opinions of our own, are we? I'm not surprised, not one bit. Catherine, please. You've always seemed like the most sensible member of this family. I strongly urge you to marshal all of your influence over your husband and get him to listen to reason. Help him comprehend what this will mean, both for his family.
My family is my business.
As
and
I
mine
was
alone.
saying, both for his family and for the town he lives in.
I am the one who cares about town and knows what's best for it. I want to reveal the evil secrets that one way or another will eventually come to light. That's right. You will soon see how much I love my hometown.
Through blind obstinance, you would cut off the town's main source of income, destroying its livelihood.
The source is poisoned, man. Have you lost your mind? Our livelihood is mired in corruption and the trafficking of toxic sludge. Our city's prosperity is rooted in mendacity. It's all been built upon a lie.
These are all your fantasies, or perhaps worse, your fabrications. The man who hurls such offensive allegations at his own hometown must be an enemy of society.
How dare you?
Thomas.
Settle down, Father. It's not worth it.
I'm not going to stay here and subject myself to violence. You have been warned. Think about the welfare of your family, as well as your own. Goodbye.
Oh, here you go. No, here you go. It's you.
Well, I'm good. Thank you so much. Okay. Excellent. This is like my first rodeo, I think. So this is what you need to know about Act 4, the second of the two scenes we're going to perform today. In Act 3, the intervening act, Dr. Stockman goes down to the newspaper with his full report, and he expects the newspaper to print it, as they said they would do. And he then goes to see some patients, and while he's away seeing some patients, his brother goes down to the paper, and he brings an editorial, and he orders the paper's owner, Mr. Islaxon, and the editor to, on no uncertain terms, will they publish Dr. Stockman's report. They'll publish this editorial instead. And when he comes back at the end of Act 3 to see his writing in print, he finds his brother hiding in the back office, and they get into yet another fight in which it's clear that under the stress and pressure of political power, the paper capitulates to not run the truth about the water supply being poisoned. So Dr. Stockman runs off out the door, and he says, I'm going to publish my findings in a pamphlet. I'm going to go to the local publishers, and I'm going to send this out across Norway, across Europe. And the mayor says to him, there's no publisher in town that will publish your pamphlet. He says, fine, I will find a town hall, and I will proclaim the truth about the water supply being poisoned from the town hall. And the mayor and the owner of the homeowner society, the president, say, there's no town hall that's going to host you in this town. And so Dr. Stockman goes looking for a place where he can deliver his report. And there's one individual in town, a ship's captain named Captain Horster, who's not interested in politics, but believes in free speech, who agrees to host the town hall meeting in his home. And that's where you'll find us in Act 4, where all the people of the town have come to hear what's been rumored and said about Dr. Stockman's report directly from him. Now, in this model of Theater of War Productions, you are the people. And I want to just say to you, the last time we did this was at the Aspen Ideas Festival, and everyone had a cocktail before it started, and so it got very rowdy. And unfortunately, many of you probably haven't had a cocktail yet. It's very early. I know you have dinner late in Greece, but I want to give you permission to participate when you feel so moved. We have some young people in the audience. I'm just showing the seams of our model who have a script, and they're going to lead the charge. But if you feel moved to respond to something that's being said on stage, we've had everything from people offering their own insights, sometimes expletives, to people storming the stage. And theater is a place of transgression, and this room can hold, I hope, whatever happens next. So without further ado, Act 4 from Henrik Ibsen's An Enemy of the People.
Ryan, I see you couldn't stay away tonight.
I never miss a public meeting.
Neither do I.
Did you bring your whistle?
Of course I did, didn't you?
You bet I did.
Hey, what's all this about? What's going on here tonight?
Dr. Stockman plans to deliver a speech against the mayor.
But the mayor's his brother.
What makes no difference? Stockman's not afraid of him.
But he's got it all wrong. It said so in the People's Messenger today.
Yes, he must be in the wrong this time. Both the Homeowners Association and the Citizens Club blocked him from speaking in their halls.
Well, I heard they wouldn't even let him speak at the spa.
They sure as hell wouldn't.
So, whose side should we be on?
Oh, just sit down, watch us locks in and follow his lead.
Look, the mayor.
Well, look who finally showed up.
How are you, Catherine?
Just fine. Try to keep it together, Thomas. Don't get too excited up there.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be sure to control myself this time. It's already 15:15 the hour, so I would like to begin my remarks.
But surely a moderator should be elected first.
No, I don't believe that's necessary.
Yes, it is.
I second the motion to elect a moderator before proceedings.
But I called this meeting to give a lecture.
Yeah, well, just
Peter.
yes, but the doctor's remarks could lead to differences of opinion. Yes?
Which is why,
The voice of the people seemed to call for a moderator.
All right.
Exactly.
Let the people have their say.
I move that the mayor serve as moderator.
Fine. No. No. Thank you. Very flattering, but no. For reasons that are easy to understand, I'm afraid I must decline. But fortunately, we do have someone with us here tonight who I think we can all accept. I am, of course, speaking of the chairman of the Homeowners Association, Mr. Islaxon. Yes? Yes? Yes?
Well, since my fellow citizens have chosen to invest their trust in me, I simply cannot decline.
Mr. Aslaxon, publisher of the People's Messenger, was elected moderator by overwhelming cheers and raucous applause from the crowd.
And now that I have been called to moderate tonight's meeting, I hope you don't mind my offering a few brief remarks before the proceedings get started. I am a modest, peace-loving man who holds temperance in the highest regard, temperance and moderation in all things. Anyone who knows me knows this about me. So, thank you. I have learned many lessons in the school of life and experience. Chief among them is that temperance is the greatest virtue of the individual citizen, and it is through temperance and moderation, too, that the general public is best served. I would therefore respectfully request that the highly esteemed fellow citizen who has called tonight's meeting do his utmost to remain within the bounds of moderation and what is appropriate and suitable for such a convening.
Exactly. Let's all raise a glass to the temperance society.
Oh, go to hell.
No interruptions. Ladies and gentlemen, please, no interruptions. Does anyone here wish to deliver a brief speech?
Mr. Moderator, if I may.
Mayor Stockman now has the floor.
Okay, well, in light of the facts of which I'm sure you're all aware that the chief medical officer in question is, in fact, my brother, I would have preferred not to say anything at all this evening, given my obvious conflicts of interest. However, I am moved, as the chairman of the SPA's board of directors, and as someone who cares deeply about the vital interests of this town, to propose a motion. I do this presuming there isn't a single citizen in this room who thinks it will be desirable for untrustworthy and exaggerated statements about the sanitary conditions of our spa and of our town to spread out of this meeting and circulate all over the country, as well as abroad.
That's right.
No, that's right. No, who would want that? No. Of course not. Of course not. So, I therefore move that the chief medical officer be prohibited from delivering his proposed lecture or speech before the assembly gathered here this evening.
Prohibited? What on earth are you saying?
Yes.
All right.
Well, now, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Now, in my statement in the People's Messenger, I have notified the public of the fundamental facts. You have them. So, well-informed citizens may easily judge the matter for themselves and form their own opinions. In it, you will see that the chief medical officer's proposal, apart from amounting to a shameful character assassination of our town's leaders, essentially calls for saddling taxpayers with an assessment of at least 100,000 crowns.
There will be order here tonight. Now, with your permission, I wish to second the mayor's motion, for it is also my belief that there is a hidden motive behind the doctor's agitation. He speaks out of concern for the spa, but wishes to incite a revolution in which the traditional structures of power and governments will be upended. I will now put the mayor's motion up for a vote.
There is no need for a vote. I have no plan to report on the sickening filth down at the spa. No. Tonight, you will hear something very different from Dr. Stockman.
Oh, God, what now?
I am a tax-paying citizen of this town, and I have a right to voice my opinion.
May I be permitted to speak now?
Get out! Get out!
Dr. Stockman will now address this assembly.
If anyone even a few short days ago had attempted to silence me as these men have tonight, I would have fought like a lion for my sacred, inalienable rights. But such things are of little importance to me now, because I have something more vital and urgent to speak about here this evening. For the past few days, I've been thinking deeply about a great many things, so many things that my thoughts all become scrambled and shuffled inside my head. But just as these men were speaking, I straightened them all out. And now I clearly see how everything coheres. My fellow citizens, I am about to share with you my great revelation. I will announce my sweeping discovery, which makes the fact that our water system has been poisoned and our health spa built upon a cesspool seem completely insignificant. I will tell you about my greatest discovery, the most important contribution I have made to the study of human behavior in recent years. The discovery that our spiritual waters, all the sacred rivers, springs, lakes, and tributaries within us as people, have been poisoned. And our entire society built upon an infectious, pestilence-ridden bedrock of filth, of lies.
What do you want?
I must object to this outrageous insinuation.
And I must admonish the speaker for his lack of temperance and request that he show more moderation going forward.
For all
I will
my
be
life.
forced to take a vote and decide whether we want to stay here or not tonight at all.
For all my life, I have loved this town, my hometown, as much as any person can love the place from which he came from or in which he was raised as a boy. I left when I was still very young, but always carried this place with me wherever I went in my heart. And over the years, a certain wistful and homesickness for what I had left behind cast a warm glow over my memory of this town and its people. But then, for many years, I lived in that little rural village in the north, far up in the backcountry. And as I got to know the people there, who were spread out seemingly at random across the stony slopes, the thought occasionally crossed my mind that these people might be better served by a veterinarian than by a
I've never
man
heard
like me.
such garbage in all my life.
That is a grave insult to decent working class people everywhere.
Now, just a moment, just a moment. Now, I don't think anyone would have blamed me if I forgot my hometown while living up there in the wilderness. But truth be told, all I did was sit around and think of this place and its immense potential. I thought and thought about all of you, brooding away all my days, and then suddenly it came to me, the idea of creating the spa. After years and years waiting, fate finally gave me the opportunity to return to my hometown. Oh, my fellow citizens, you should have seen me. I was so happy all the time. I didn't think there was anything else I wanted more in the world except for one thing. I had this burning, indefatigable desire to be of service to this community and all the people who live here.
You certainly have a very strange way of sharing.
And for the longest time, I went about my work joyously, serving to the best of my ability, completely in ignorance of what was happening all around me. That is, until yesterday morning. No, it was actually 2 days ago, when my eyes were finally opened and I began to see clearly the corruption and the inexcusable stupidity of those in power.
By the power invested in me.
It is small-minded and petty to censure me over the use of a single word, Mistress Loskerson. I only meant to say I suddenly woke up and understood the depth of the catastrophe, the extraordinary debacle our elected officials bear responsibility for down at the spa. I simply cannot accept the authority of these so-called civic leaders. I've seen enough of them in my time to know they are like billy goats grazing in a field full of sprouting flowers. They recklessly destroy everything around them, devouring or trampling at random. They block the path of the free man in every direction, no matter where he turns, and nothing would give me greater pleasure than to exterminate them all like other rabid animals.
No. Hey, Mr. Moderator, will such hateful and violent remarks be allowed to stand?
Dr. Stockman.
Why, I ask, has it taken me so long to see these men for what they really are, especially when I've had such a perfect example standing right before my eyes every single day? My brother, Peter.
It's true.
Intellectually sluggish, intolerant, bigoted, a lumbering idiot.
Peter, did you say Peter? Peter said it. Oh,
Who is that? Who is that man?
Who is that man? Anyone know who that is?
I have no idea, Mayor. He's an outsider.
I believe he's a lumberjack from the other
That
side.
man was clearly intoxicated and has no business being here. You may continue, Dr. Statman, but I ask you to please remember to exercise temperance.
Well, my fellow citizens, I've said just about everything I came to say about the town's leaders.
Thank God.
And besides, they aren't the ones who pose the greatest threat to our society. No, they aren't the ones who are actively poisoning our spiritual waters, turning the ground beneath our feet into toxic sludge, the source of the contagion now plaguing our land. They aren't the most dangerous enemies of truth and freedom in our society. You can rest assured, I plan to name them all. This is the great revelation that has been dawning on me these past few days. The most dangerous enemy of truth and freedom standing here among us tonight is the solid majority.
What?
That's right.
Is he talking
The goddamn
about us?
solid liberal majority. There, now, I've said it.
He's talking about us.
I must request that the speaker withdraw his incendiary and misguided remarks.
Never,
We are
Mr. Esloxon, never.
talking about our citizens.
For it is the solid majority here in this room that is robbing me of my freedom by prohibiting me from speaking the truth.
The majority always has what's right on its side.
Exactly. Along with the truth. God strike me down if I'm wrong.
And I say never. The majority never has the right on its side.
And you do?
That is one of the lies at the rotting core of our society against which all independent, free-thinking individuals must fight. I ask you this. Who composes the majority in this country, or any other for that matter? Is it made up of our brilliant minds or of complete imbeciles?
You're fascist.
I think we can all agree that throughout the world, the ignorant exponentially outnumber those with even the smallest degree of intelligence.
Oh, wow.
And if we can agree on that, then please tell me this. How in God's name can it ever be right for the wise to be ruled over by fools? Okay, sure. You can shut me down all night, but that's all you can do because none of you can refute my argument, and you know it. The majority may have the right on its side. The majority may have the might on its side. Unfortunately, it's true, but not what's right. That my fellow citizens exclusively, my fellow citizens, the right exclusively belongs to the minority.
He's talking about you. He's insulting you. That is a good one. Dr. Stockman had a major revelation the day before yesterday and has transformed into an aristocrat.
I have already stated that I will not waste words on small-minded, narrow-chested, short-winded crew that's been left flailing in our wake. The throbbing pulse of life has nothing more to do with them. No, I speak only of those few intrepid individuals who are willing to learn and grow and to embrace all the budding and ever-complexifying truths that have only recently been revealed.
Okay, look, the doctor has become a revolutionary.
Yeah, you're damn right, Mr. Hofstad. I'm going to mount a revolution against the lie that the truth is the exclusive possession of the majority. What sort of truths does the majority stand behind? Truths so long in the tooth that they wobble on the verge of senility and decrepitude. When a truth is that advanced in age, my fellow citizens, it is well on its way to becoming a lie.
It seems to me that the honorable speaker has strayed far afield from the subject.
I couldn't agree more with the moderator.
Well, I think you've gone mad, Peter. Throughout my remarks this evening, I have cleaved as close as possible to my main argument, which is simply this: that the masses, the rabid and angry mob, the God-forsaken solid majority, these very men and women,
He's talking about
they
us.
are the ones who are poisoning our moral and spiritual water supply, turning the ground beneath our feet into a festering plague sore.
Great as I have never heard such absolute filth in a public setting.
Citizens,
out of here.
please take note of this.
Please be reasonable. Listen to my voice. I speak the truth. For once in your lives, can't you bear to hear it? I'm not asking you to agree right away, but I did expect that Mr. Hofstede would have my back once he came to his senses. Mr. Hofstede claims to be a free thinker.
A free thinker? What?
I challenge you to prove it, Dr. Stockman. When have I said that in print?
Come to think of it, I guess you are right. You've never had the honesty to say it. Certainly not in public. Don't worry, Mr. Hofstede. I won't get you into trouble. I'll be the free thinker then. Surely you all agree that there's a major difference between cultivated and uncultivated species.
Species.
Take the ordinary barn hen, for instance.
Chicken?
How much meat is produced from such a
he
scrawny
calling us
carcass?
animals now?
Not a lot, I
He's
can tell
calling
you.
us animals.
And what kind
Not
of
the chicken.
eggs does she lay? The average raven or crow can lay eggs that are almost as good in quality, but then compare the barn hen to a well-raised Spanish or Japanese hen or a fine pheasant or turkey, and right away you'll recognize the difference.
Are you comparing us all to barn hens?
He is. We're not animals, Doctor.
Oh, but we are.
You are
Yes, my
definitely
God, we are all
No.
animals. Like it or not, we all belong to the animal kingdom. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of noble animals among us. Some of us walk on 2 legs, others on 4. For some, there's a great distance between us and poodles or our troglodyte ancestors. For others, not so much.
Shame. Get him out of here.
Look,
Get him out of here.
I make no claim to any sort of nobility or sophistication. I came from a long line of simple, hard-working farmers.
Yes, that's right.
And I am proud that my roots run deep among the common people who have been insulted here tonight.
That's right.
The common people I have been speaking about here tonight don't just dwell among the lower rungs. No, they crawl and cluster all around us, climbing their way right up to the highest stations and ranks of our society. Just look at your own well-dressed, self-satisfied mayor. My brother Peter is as common as anyone who walks on 2 feet.
Mr. Moderator, I object to such ad hominem attacks. Could you please?
And not because he descended from some depraved old reprobate of a pirate from Pomerania or there else, just as I am. Just as I am.
That's
for
an old folk tale.
That is our lineage.
No, it's an old folk tale. It's completely baseless.
But because he sits there smugly, thinking the thoughts of his superiors, actually believing what they claim to believe without pausing to question the validity of their opinions. People who do that are intellectually and spiritually common. And that's why my esteemed brother Peter, at his core, is so ordinary, so vulgar, so patently unexceptional, and consequently so narrow-minded, so deeply illiberal.
Mr. Moderator,
So the
please.
noble and exceptional people of this country are the liberals. Wow, that's certainly a new
That is
twist on
precisely
things.
what I discovered earlier this week, at least in part. And this, too, flows from it, that open-mindedness and free thinking is morality. And vice, corruption, and all kinds of spiritual pestilence and contagion oozes out of high society, just like that toxic slime that, as we speak, is oozing down into the so-called health spa from the tanneries in
Where can we
Milldale.
speak about that?
You literally
And yet-
said it was our idea.
Yeah.
The same people's messenger go on preaching about how the masses should be elevated to higher levels of health and wellness. Health and wellness, huh? If the messenger's doctrine is true, then elevating the health of masses means plunging them straight into the fiery pits of hell. It means tossing them into the sludge, but luckily it's a lie that culture and education corrupt us. Something we've inherited from past generations, but it just isn't true. In fact, it's poverty and lack of access that demoralizes
I
us.
will not stand for such base insults being lobbed at the entire community.
I move that the moderator order the speaker to sit down.
If you try to silence me, I promise you this, I will shout the truth from every street corner. I will send letters to the newspapers in neighboring towns. You got it?
Then do it.
The whole
Traitor.
country will know what is happening.
It seems that the doctor is dead set on bringing about the town's destruction.
Yes, I love my hometown so dearly that I would rather see it die than prosper on a lie.
Oh, you should watch your words, sir. That is outrageous.
A man who would destroy his own hometown must be an enemy of the citizens.
An enemy.
So-
That's right.
What if his town that has been built on a lie gets demolished? I say, tear it down. And all those who live upon lies should be sent into exile. Their homes flattened and razed to the ground. Otherwise, you'll end up contaminating the entire country, making this land uninhabitable. And should that come to pass, then I say from the depths of my soul that this country deserves to perish along with its people.
He speaks like an enemy of the people.
There it is! I know that sound. It's the voice of the
As both a citizen of this town and as a human being, I am deeply disturbed by what my ears have been subjected to this evening. Dr. Stockman has exposed himself, his true self, in ways that I never dreamed possible. And so it is with great sadness that I must concur with the opinion just expressed by many of the admirable and praiseworthy citizens gathered in this room. I believe we should formalize and record this widely held opinion with a resolution. And so I move that this meeting declares the Chief Medical Officer of the SPA, Dr. Thomas Stockman, to be an enemy of the people.
What fools you are, what fools you are, what fools you are. And
The doctor is out of order and no longer has the floor. Let's hear it for our fine old town. And let's have a hand for our brilliant and resourceful mayor who so selflessly and loyally set aside family ties to do what's right for his community.
That's right.
This meeting is adjourned. Good night.
And how about a round for our moderator?
Petra, my hat and jacket, please. Come, Catherine. Boys, it's time to go.
Thomas, dear, don't you think we should go out the back door?
There will be no back doors, Catherine. You will all hear from the enemy of the people before he shakes the dust off this town from his feet. I am not as merciful as Christ was on the cross.
You're not
Jesus. No, I will not say, I forgive you, for you know not what you do.
That is a blasphemous comparison.
That's going too far. This is more than a serious person can handle.
He even dares to threaten us on his way out.
Let's shatter his windows.
Break down his door.
Toss him in the river.
Enemy of the people.
Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people.
Enemy of the people.
Thank you all so much. This is end of Act 4. So as our actors are taking their place in the audience, I want to invite our panelists to come up as quickly as they can to the stage. As our panelists are coming up, I just want to mention this is not where the play ends. This is only the 4th act. At the end of the 5th act, the townspeople go and they break out the windows of his home. And his son gets beaten up on the way to school, and his daughter Petra loses her job. And in Arthur Miller's adaptation of the play, it's implied that the family itself is actually sacrificed, that they're killed by the townspeople at the end of the play. And that's the most extreme sort of Greek tragedy adaptation of An Enemy of the People. But I mention it because you see the trajectory of the consequences of the scenes that we've performed, but unfortunately we can't perform it all the way through because we want to get to the discussion with you here tonight in the fleeting time we have left with you in this beautiful space. So panelists, where are you guys? You got to be up on stage as soon as humanly possible. These are our 5 panelists. So before I thank our panelists and get them started, I want to just first acknowledge that the citizens in the room tonight are part of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Nostos 2026 Youth Advisory Committee, and I want to thank all 14 members of the Youth Advisory Committee. These are brilliant, intrepid young people from all over the world, 4 continents, who come to help organize this gathering, but also said yes to our invitation to perform in it. And we're so delighted to have such a diversity of young people and young voices amongst us. And so we decided to just have them double as panelists tonight to help us kick off the conversation. And so because time is fleeting, I'm going to look over at them, and whoever's making the best eye contact, I told them, gets to go first. So you have volunteered yourself with your amazing manners. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and launching directly into your immediate gut responses to what resonated with you in the play.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eleni Batsari. I'm a member of the SNF Nostos Youth Advisory Committee, and I'm a recent nursing graduate of National and Capodistrian University of Athens. So this play is my identity. During the reading, there was phrases that hits me in the gut. I was taking some notes, during the play. He tells the crowd, the citizens, that we are animals. And then he claims that our whole society is built on lies, so it must be destroyed. Saying that a town should be destroyed because it's complicated, that is not the logic of medicine. That is not the logic of nursing. It's a logic of a computer. It's either 1 or 0 logic. And in my clinical rotations, I've been in rooms with perfect data, but this data cannot manage human panic. A lab result cannot answer to a terrified patient, what happens to me right now? It's the same condition for me with COVID and for our play today. Science gives us data, and as scientists, the data are really important. But empathy is what makes it work in real world. That is what separates us from machines, from AI, with data and empathy, we navigate human crisis, human health crisis. And for me, Dr. Stockman is a brilliant scientist, but he's not a healer. He's not a healer of our society. And he has the clinical data, he has the clinical truth, but he has not the empathy to communicate it. And he didn't believe in the autonomy or the wisdom of the community. And at this point, you cannot force a treatment on a community from above while treating them as inferiors. And for me, to solve the public health crisis, we need accurate diagnosis with the help of AI in the future, and trust. And this play is a warning for me that empathy and deep human connection are not just soft skills, they are our tools to heal our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eleni.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bryn Gammer, also a member of the Youth Advisory Committee. I graduated 2 years ago, like social science stuff, and now I work at a nonprofit in the Dominican Republic. Brian said that we could ramble, so I'm gonna just ramble and have no total coherence about what I'm gonna say. When the play started, I was totally on the side of Dr. Stockman because I feel like in my roles and stuff, like it's so easy to want to be on the side of public health and the side of data that makes sense. And previously I felt like a whistleblower where I'm like, hey, we really need to do something about this. This is for the good of everyone. Let's try and make it make sense. And I've also felt where I feel like I'm going crazy because like maybe it actually isn't just that important. But throughout the play, and I like heard so many mixed reactions from the crowd around me. It felt like, in general, the wants of the townspeople, which was generally against Dr. Stockman, wasn't the common one of the room. My thinking kind of changed because I thought that at the end of the day, I feel like Dr. Stockman is anti-democracy. Like, he has this idea of democracy that, I mean, the Greeks in the room can forgive me if I have a total, like, bad misinterpretation of this. But I believe, like, at the very, very beginning, in initial models and ideas of democracy, the idea was for educated people and people with, you know, property and like, years of education to be the ones to have the say in stuff, which is essentially Dr. Stockman's argument. But that quickly evolves into essentially eugenics, right? Like, that's what we're getting at. And even if he could be right and he could be saving everyone, that isn't reason to put other people down and to totally rule it out. I think the other really cool kind of themes touched on, and I think what really resonated, and please everyone correct me, yell at me, whatever, was the idea of the bureaucracy like blocking the good science. That being said, imagine someone comes to your town and is like, oh yeah, you guys are all really stupid for living here and you're gonna die. And we're actually gonna shut down your whole town, cancel everything economically, and you just need to deal with it or you're stupid. I feel like it's that intrinsic reaction to be hesitant and to also question data that you get the first time. Again, not to ignore public health officials, not to ignore peer-reviewed studies and stuff like that, but to question some dude that just comes up and says, hey, everything's wrong. I think that level of skepticism and that level of like, you know, wanting to fight for your community should be paid attention to. So I think, yeah, democracy, community, all that good stuff.
Thank you, Bryn.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on one thing that Bryn said. I'm TK, I'm from the Youth Advisory Committee as well, and I'm from America, so that's kind of the perspective I bring to this. But one of the things was we have these scripts and we're supposed to be like these townspeople, and so we're, in a lot of the times when the doctor's talking, we're booing because he's calling us animals, he's saying, you're so dumb, he's saying very bad things to the townspeople, and so we all were the ones booing because we're being insulted and belittled. But being in this theater, I felt like, I don't know what you other people felt like, but I felt like the overwhelming response was to clap. And so I was around people clapping while I was the one booing. And it was very interesting because when we practiced just ourselves, it was just booing. And I felt very comfortable being very loud and booing very loudly. And then when you're surrounded by people that are very clearly directly opposed to your point of view, it becomes a lot harder to stand up and boo consistently and loudly. And so even though these aren't like real viewpoints, my like real viewpoint isn't necessarily dictated by this character, it was like sobering to realize how quickly it was easier to become quiet when you were surrounded by people that disagreed with you.
Thank you so much.
And then the other thing that it kind of stood out to me was that people clapped even when he was saying these really mean things. Like, I support listening to science. I think they probably shouldn't be trying to kill people, but with the like infected water, but he was also being really cruel, and even if he was right, he was going about it the wrong way. And so to be surrounded by an audience that was supporting that, it was like, oh wow, would I also listen to this if it was said by Willem Dafoe and was very charismatically said? It's kind of different than reading it as words on the page. So I guess that was something else that struck me.
Like the points covered by my colleagues, I mean, it's very much a play focusing on public health. But as I was watching it, especially because I had read and watched it a couple, like 3 times by now, what really struck out to me was kind of the relationships in the society. Like, by that I mean kind of the union in the community when they're fighting, like either Dr. Stockman or the mayor, depending on their opinion at the time, but also the relationship between the brothers, the doctor and the mayor. Because what really struck out to me was in Act 2 when the doctor is with his family, he's saying, what's behind me, what's behind me? And it's the community. And he says they connected, he feels so nice to be connected to citizens in such a brotherly way, which was such an interesting way to phrase it, considering he himself is obviously not very connected to his brother in terms of morals, values, and most of all, priorities. Because while the mayor is prioritizing, again, kind of getting like prosperity and keeping the spot open, his brother is prioritizing public health. And that also leads to the sense, because their priorities are so different, it's kind of goes back to like the age-old question that beliefs aren't innate. These brothers grew up together. They've obviously, I mean, we can assume they spent their whole lives together discussing their opinions, and yet they have grown up to be such different individuals who battle each other face to face at the end of the play. So that leads you to question, like, how does one develop their own beliefs? How are they affected by the environment around them?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think just building on to what my fellow panelists have shared, for me, it was when the mayor really was appalled that his own brother would rally and try and get the community to go behind him in terms of challenging his governance and his authority. And it left in me a bitter taste mindset on at what point do we realize that relations don't stand their ground as opposed to ensuring that there's accountability. The mayor didn't want to be accountable because he felt the person that was holding him accountable should have been an ally, not an enemy. So it really left me thinking very deeply around some of the issues that we have in our societies. How many times have we been silent on issues of abuse? How many times have we been silent on issues of corruption just because it's a brother?
I want to thank our 5 members of the YAC for saying yes, to responding from your guts and your hearts. So right off the cuff, it's not a small thing to get up and do that in front of a large crowd like this, but it's so refreshing to hear younger perspectives. And I'm also so grateful that we don't have a manel as well, that it's not on that, because I've been in enough performances and panels where it's all men. It's so great to hear your perspective. And thank you for modeling a way forward for the discussion we're about to have in the fleeting time we have left. As I mentioned, I'm going to turn my backs to you, but not out of disrespect. And like you have live mics like the voice of God, you can come back into the conversation whenever you feel so moved. You can just say, hey, Brían, or come right back in. But now I'm going to turn out here, and I'm going to take the energy that you've generated, and we're going to move it around the room. And I'll return to the question that we ask all audiences, and we've traveled the world asking, and it's simply this. In spite of the distance of culture and time, the fact the play was written 144 years ago by a Norwegian playwright and set in a small rural Norwegian town, in spite of the distance that separates us from the characters and the community in this play, what resonated with you as you listened to the play tonight? What touched you as you heard these actors performing it here in this beautiful space? What was true? And I see a hand right over here. I'll come right to you. And we have some other mic runners in other parts of the space who will come to you if you raise your hand.
For me, it was very painful. The path of right is so difficult to take. The personal sacrifices a person makes and the loneliness of fighting it alone, and how people get so easily influenced by the majoritarian thoughts and ideas. It was very painful because it resonates with many of us who are working in the space of social transformation, and the price we have to pay to just stand on the right side.
It made me very sad the moment when I realized the scientist, the doctor, was off script. And it made me think so much of working on climate in the 90s, when we got the messaging a little bit off. We didn't know how to communicate. And I think this is an extreme, but for me it just brought up that immense sadness.
Yes, thank you, because at the end of the day, thank you. We're going to go right there. At the end of the day, this community, we'll go there next after that, this community ends up deciding to drink the poisoned water. And I appreciate what you're saying, acknowledging that all the greatest minds in the world, there's actually a line that's not in our script, but it's in the original, where he talks about the noble class of experts. That all of the intelligence, all of the expertise, all of the understanding will not be decisively the thing that ultimately addresses the climate crisis or the public health crisis or the next pandemic. It's learning, as per what was set up there, how to communicate. And I suggest we put all our greatest minds into a PR firm that can communicate some of these messages in a way that doesn't feel offensive. But at the end of the day, how can it not be offensive with the structural inequities in our society where simply having a degree puts you in such a position of superiority over people that it really doesn't matter what you say? And so I think that the complexity of that is already in the room, but I appreciate you naming it. Yeah, back there. Go right ahead, sir.
Some thoughts on the play. First, the conflict between the majority and the minority reminded me of Albert Einstein when he talked about the theory of relativity. Other scientists doubted him, well-known scientists, and Einstein responded, if they were right, one of them would be enough to be correct. Another thought is that the doctor, Ibsen, presents the doctor as naive. He believes in the start of the play that all will go good, will go well, and the problem will be fixed, the water will not be polluted, and I think that it is weird that an educated man, a doctor, a scientist, can be so naive. And the last one is that I think the message of the play is not only democracy, not only pollution, climate. It's that the message, the most important message is that the person who wins is not the person who is always right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We're going to go back here in the back. Who has a mic? I see your hand. Yeah, go right there. Yeah. You have the mic, please.
Hi. I was on the second floor, so by the time I came down, because we were dissenting up there, to the majority of the people who were agreeing, and I felt like they were sort of following the script of Enemy of the People.
So you had more freedom up in the balcony
Yeah,
to
well,
actually...
you didn't hear us, so I came down, which means...
Could you hold the mic a little closer to you?
Oh, sorry. So I apologize, because between coming from upstairs down here, I have missed, so you might have said this already. I'm a New Yorker, so my tendency, even though I've lived in Greece my whole life, is to speak up. The tendency here sometimes is you can't change things. As far as the pollution that was discussed, I mean, he started out with the issue being pollution, and let's handle it, and then it got waylaid to, whether people are animals or not. Look at what happened at the Delaware River, which was the most polluted river in the States, 100 years before this play, in 1769. Ben Franklin gave money out of his pocket to create clean water systems. What I would say, if that didn't come up as a discussion, when you're talking about pollution, what do you do about it, is you get the high officials who are making the big money, or the 1%ers who have a lot of money and don't pay it out, to cover the majority of that expense, because it benefits them as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you bringing that into the room as well. Yeah, go back there, because you had that person right there. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Well, what first stood out to me was that we are still in the same cycle from about 150 years ago. We are still fighting the same inequities. We're still fighting the same issues at hand of those with the powers and the levers that can utilize them in order to silence the individuals who are trying to do the right thing, and that ultimately should not discourage anyone in the room from continuing to fight for the right thing, because as the doctor puts it, the populism, the majority is often in the wrong. How he can communicate that may have come across negatively, but that idea is still present. The other thing that I think is interesting is that as the main character, the mayor's, or the doctor is getting a lot of the direct feedback from the community here in the theater today, but the individuals who are in the wrong are the mayor, the oligarchs, the people with the power, and the media. And I think especially coming from the United States, it is reflective in the period of time that we are today, that it is hard to exist knowing what is right when you can see the powers at play, and that populism does have its own draw and feeds into itself.
Yeah. I hear all of that, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate bringing up the media. As we were walking into the space, I saw a sign for IMED, which is an organization supported by this foundation that said, journalism is being tested. And I thought we're walking into the space, and unfortunately we weren't doing Act 3, where you see the owner of the paper capitulate to political and corporate power and decide not to run the truth about the water supply. But that is also a truth that feels very resonant to the present moment, that the economics of journalism, the power structures of our society, the corporatized nature of it, put immense pressure upon the media to be conveyors of the truth. And of course, the democratization of media into all kinds of other forms that aren't fact-based and checked puts immense pressure on it as well. I know this is all obvious, but I'm just naming it and bringing it into the room because there's so much we could talk about with regard to this play. In a second, I'm going to ask a second question. You can ignore it. You can ask your own question. You can shout me down, whatever you want. But I'm going to try to move us through a few more themes before the end of the play, a discussion. But I have a hand over here, and I want to make sure we go over here. Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Hello. So I had a lot of specific thoughts, but you just touched on one about the reporter. I was in a previous talk today, and a BBC journalist, Godwin Asadiba, was talking about reporters and how they have a responsibility because they hold knowledge that the public doesn't have, and they have a responsibility to disperse it in a non-biased way. And so, again, I agree with you. The fact that they capitulated was not surprising. And then for the tradesman, I also thought it was interesting that he pointed out that he holds like a lot of local power, and he believes that the spa is a gold mine. So I think that was a really timeless example of how even people who hold a lot of trust from the public can also be swayed by money and just what they think would be most profitable to them. And then for the politician, the moments that really stood out to me was the conversation between him and his brother, all the manipulation tactics that he tried to use. Like, he said it could be toxic when it was clearly toxic, and if he really didn't believe that it was toxic, he could have ran his own diagnostic. That would have been the logical thing, but he brought up how this could negatively affect his brother's personal life, and he started to attack him on a personal level and attacked his character, saying that he should listen to whoever his superiors are. And what I mostly found interesting is I thought that by the end of the play, he actually shared a lot of things in common with his brother. Like he fell into the same folly of using personal attacks against the townspeople to try to convince them to think like he thought. And I think the problem wasn't his temperance at the end of the play. I think they tried to portray that temperance is the enemy, or is good, but I think temperance is the enemy. And in a previous talk also, sorry, I'll be done in a second, Marjolaine said that anger is the fuel that empowers people to make change, and politicians will not care if you are living like without air conditioner, for example, if they are living with central air. And so only by your anger and confrontation and by creating friction in their lives are the people in power going to give any reverence to, what you have to say. So I thought that the lesson was that his problem wasn't his temperance, but it was his contempt for the people he was trying to help. And he fell into the same folly that his brother did in trying to manipulate people into thinking like him instead of just telling the truth.
So much. I love when someone distills so much into one comment, and I appreciate your self-awareness that we're in a space where other people want to speak. But I also am grateful that you spoke, and everything you brought into the room was really powerful. I'm going to ask my second question. We're going to end on time. We have a dinner reservation, and I'm sure you all have all kinds of wonderful places to go in Athens. And we know we're in the middle of a long day of events. But I'm interested in we've done a number of performances, and I was mentioning earlier, one happened in Ohio where a woman stormed the stage. She said, "I want to hear the doctor speak. Let the doctor speak." And we were all just delighted, like, this is unbelievable. And it happened at this perfect moment where then the doctor had the floor, and he spoke, and he just said the most repugnant things that sounded like eugenics. And she sat down, and the place got quiet. And when we first did it, we had Francis Collins, who was the head of the NIH, as one of the people screaming at the stage. I thought it was a good idea to have doctors who'd been on the receiving end of the rage of communities screaming at the stage, because maybe in that exercise they might come to some understanding as to what it's like to be on the other side, and maybe also it could be healing for them to scream at the stage. But Francis said, "I came here wanting there to be heroes, but I know enough to know that there are none." I just want to ask, I'm just curious, and if someone can take us up or not, there's this moment in the play where, in the first act we perform, in the second act, where the mayor, Peter, says, "This issue is not exclusively scientific, it is interdependent." And I wonder if there's anyone in here who related to the mayor. I'm not asking if you saw him as a hero, but yeah, I see a hand right back there in the middle. It's going to be hard to get it to the individual in the pink shirt because we don't have aisles, but yes, I really appreciate a fast mic runner. Thank you so much. Yeah, over to you. It's on.
So I don't exactly identify with the mayor, but I do believe that the doctor was right in his assessment of the public mostly being wrong. I believe that he misunderstood the workings of power in society, whereas the mayor has a more holistic knowledge of power and thus could wield it in his favor. The thing is that the doctor made the mistake of opposing most of the people as some politicians would oppose some of the people. So, for example, we saw the majority of the crowd was with the doctor for most of his speech, because it is very powerful and reassuring to think that the rest of the people are idiots. So most of politicians are campaigning on this severance of bureaucracy, like Donald Trump did, and they succeed. And the point is that people don't like to be wrong, but they like to feel that they are right in a pool of wrong. For example, Robespierre, when he told the National Convention that some of you might be hung to death against the revolution, they hung him instead. So,
thank you. I appreciate that. So this is a play about yeah. I appreciate you complicating it and acknowledging what you did relate to in the mayor and his subtle and more nuanced understanding of political power, but also unpacking how political power works in relationship to how it's earned and gained, and the rhetorical structures that are used and devices used to win over the public. The tension between the individual and the community is at the center of this play, but it's really the center of every play since the birth of Greek tragedy in this country, since the first actor purportedly stepped out from the chorus. And we have in this play an individual who finds himself at odds with the community, but I'm not sure it's necessary. And that's what makes it so tragic to watch. And I appreciate everything you just brought to. Yeah. I know we've ignored the balconies, so if anyone in the balconies has a hand up, there's a hand on the second balcony right here, if we have a mic. I don't know if we do, but while we're waiting for someone to come over here, we'll go over here to this side, and I see someone in the middle here, and I'll come right, excuse me, I'm not gonna step right over you. There you are.
Great, thank you so much. I was wondering, can you talk about your adaptation? Because this is why we can understand it so well, because you've adapted it for the contemporary moment. We know that when Miller adapted it, it was in the context of McCarthyism, the Red Scare, et cetera. So I'd love you to talk about how you chose to adapt it and what you wanted to surface in that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm totally honored to be asked. And it's good filler while someone actually comes to someone up in the balcony just to say, the question I'm asking with my adaptations is not aesthetic, it's about the poetry of the language, it's not about writing the next great version, it's just, does it work? Does it work in rural Ohio? Does it work in Times Square? Does it work with scientists? Does it work with MAGA? Does it work with, and we're constantly tinkering with it as we engage different audiences. I was excited to produce this play. We premiered it at the National Academy of Sciences for an audience that was mostly scientists. But I was even more excited when we did it with climate activists in Times Square, and the third or fourth climate activists. This was Extinction Rebellion, which is an organization that disrupted the Broadway production of An Enemy of the People by saying there'll be no Broadway on a dead planet, and then were pulled out of the theater by the security apparatus and by even the actors themselves who pushed them out of the theater. There's no space for actual true dissent in a Broadway theater. Those individuals asked us to perform with them, so we did it in Times Square. But even before we performed it with the climate activists, I saw them over in the corner in a circle, and they had contributed money to the performance. And I said, what are you doing? What are you doing over here? And they said they were debating whether to disrupt their own project, their own performance. I said, well, what did you decide? And they said, well, we decided not to disrupt it. And I said, well, thank God. I mean, we might as well just light your $10,000 on fire. But needless to say, the third or fourth climate activists to the discussion said, oh, I see. This is how I'm perceived. This is how I'm seen. And no matter how passionate I feel about the fact that we are in the end times of this extinction that's unfolding, if I don't find a way to communicate that differently, I am my own worst enemy, just like Dr. Stockman. So to me, it's a question of does it work? And I know it works when the least powerful person in the room is speaking, And when someone is reflecting on what they see of themselves, the mayor in themselves, or how they hear Dr. Stockman in themselves, and that's the most exciting thing for me in this model. I think I've talked and vamped long enough. Someone has a mic, I think, in the balcony. Yes, right there in the highest balcony. Yeah, the second highest balcony. Yeah, great.
Ευχαριστώ.
Yes.
Στα ελληνικά θα μιλήσω. Ναι.
Yeah. If you want to speak in Greek, please go right ahead.
Ναι, ωραία. Ευχαριστώ. Δεν μου αρέσουν τα πολλά λόγια. Και γενικά σε αυτόν τον κόσμο εκδίδονται άπειρα βιβλία, λέγονται άπειρα λόγια και αναρωτιέμαι πολλές φορές γιατί χρειάζονται τόσα πολλά λόγια, τόσα εκατομμύρια βιβλία για να υποθούν πράγματα τόσο απλά, τόσο αυτονόητα. Γεννηθήκαμε η ανθρωπότητα σε ένα γαλάζιο υπέροχο πλανήτη τεράστιο που έφτανε για να ζουν όλοι σαν βασιλιάδες τότε που ήμασταν και λίγοι. Και ζούμε σε έναν κόσμο που κινδυνεύουμε σε λίγο να μην υπάρχουμε σαν ανθρωπότητα, να μην μπορούμε να επιβιώσουμε. Και που το μεγαλύτερο μέρος δεν έχει νερό, δεν έχει τα πλέον απαραίτητα πράγματα. Ζει σε εμπόλεμη κατάσταση μετά από τόσες χιλιάδες χρόνια πολιτισμού. Αυτό δεν δείχνει ότι η ανθρωπότητα στο σύνολό της ζει σε μια τρέλα, σε μια παραφροσύνη, σε ένα ψέμα, σε μια τρομακτική ηλικιότητα. Και για πείτε μου, μήπως τελικά καταλαβαίνω ότι κάθε άνθρωπος έχει την ιστορία του, έχει την αξία του, κάθε όν, κάθε πλάσμα, όχι μόνο οι άνθρωποι και τα μη ανθρώπινα όντα. Πώς γίνεται λοιπόν ο άνθρωπος να μην σέβεται τίποτα από όλα αυτά, να έχει φτάσει σε αυτή την κατάσταση και να λέμε ότι υπάρχει λογική, υπάρχει νοημοσύνη. Το ερώτημα λοιπόν είναι μήπως ο άνθρωπος, η ανθρωπότητα ζει σε ένα σκοτάδι, σε έναν ύπνο που μόνο ελάχιστες στιγμές μπορεί να καταφέρει να ξυπνάει για λίγο, να δέχεται κάποια ξυπνήματα και μετά ξανακοιμάται. Όλα τα ανθρωπινά όντα ξανακοιμώνται σε αυτήν την ηλικιότητα. Και πώς μπορεί κανείς να το καταλάβει αυτό? Μπορεί να το καταλάβει αυτό όταν συμβαίνουν κρίσεις. Δηλαδή, όταν ξεσπάει ένας πόλεμος, όταν ξεσπάει μια κρίση σοβαρή, όπως είναι και η φιλία. Πώς μπορείς να καταλάβεις ότι έχεις πραγματικούς φίλους? Νομίζεις ότι έχεις φίλους. Και ξαφνικά βρίσκεσαι σε μια χιονοθύελα, σε καταπλακώνει η χιονοστιβάδα και οι 10 καλύτεροι φίλοι μεταξύ τους τρώει ο ένας τον άλλον για να επιβιώσουν. Άρα λοιπόν δεν μπορείς να καταλάβεις. Αυτός είναι ο ύπνος που ζει ο κάθε άνθρωπος. Νομίζει ότι έχει φίλους, νομίζει ότι είναι άνθρωπος και όμως δεν είναι ούτε άνθρωπος ούτε έχει φίλους. Ούτε είναι νοήμων. Ευχαριστώ.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, the challenge of working bilingually is I cannot repeat everything that was just said into my ear for those, but some of you had translations, and you heard how brilliantly you wove that together. And, I really appreciate the core question. And I'll just restate what resonated with me and what you just said. One was, I think, why do we need so many words? Which there was an irony, obviously. But I also take that to heart because back to the question of adaptation. I think this question of why do we need so many words, and then you went on to say something really powerful about how we are asleep and also how can we wake up in a time of crisis and actually take action when we're in these adversarial and crisis mode all the time. And we have these fleeting moments of consciousness, and then we go back to being asleep. And that was one of the themes of what you said. And it's a simple question. And why do we need, and what I hear in that is, why do we need the mediation of a play to have this conversation? Like, why does it require the actors coming from all over the planet to have this, to perform this play for us to get to the place where you can say that in this crowd and for it to be received, especially by those who heard it in Greek? And I think it's a really great question, although I think the answer is also self-apparent in that this is the technology, in the West at least, that was born in this country, that in the amphitheater just down the street, in the Theater of Dionysus, on the south slope of the Acropolis, 1/3 of the Athenian population came to do the very thing that I think we're doing in this room, which is bearing witness and waking up to the slim possibility of making change before it's too late. And I would argue that may be the net result of watching tragedies unfold on stage is that they wake us up, even ones with lots of dramatic irony like this one, to the thin and fleeting possibility of waking up before it's too late. But we can do it with fewer words next time. I appreciate that, and I'm sure you can too. So we'll make a deal. Let's go right there. Yeah, go right ahead. There's a young person right behind you. Oh, sorry. The young person, if you don't mind. Yeah.
The play left me with a giant question, and that question was, can someone really have his own opinion, or is everyone's opinion based on the majority? Nowadays, we live in a world full of social media, and that affects everything. So the question is, can someone have his own... Can someone have his own opinion, or is everyone's opinion based on the majority?
Beautifully said. You can still go right here if you want. Yeah. We denied that person the microphone, and I don't want to deny her, so please go ahead. Thank you. That was beautifully said. And I know the project is working when a young person like you stands up and takes the mic. Please, sorry for that discrimination in the younger direction.
No problem. I'm also theater director, and I just finished one theater play from Ibsen, Nora, and I'm very happy that now I'm here, that I'm a witness of this conversation, which is really important for me also, because I heard different opinion, and this one here now, the last before me, was really big question. Do we have our personal opinion, or we wait to read the opinion on social media, how he said? And I think really is important to mix what the young ladies says, empathy in all our goals, what we want to say loudly, like Nora or like Dr. Stockman. For me was very, very good to be witness on one, let's say, reading rehearsal. And I'm very, I would like to see what will happen at the end of this project. But for me, the second act was real somehow. It happened performance. It was not reading rehearsal. It started to be performance, and I feel this like real performance, and I think that maybe this act has to be like that.
I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Thank you for saying that, especially.
Thank you for being here and sharing your art with us.
I like the idea that the first act is an open rehearsal, or the first section, and the second one somehow, by some alchemy of people in the room and the questions that have come about who is clapping for what and why, and hearing someone clap for something cruel and not knowing whether you agree with them or not, that's something dangerous and something pernicious and something really scary and powerful and moving can emerge in a room just from a reading.
I was thinking that somehow it's real, it's happening now, which is, I mean, the goal of the theater.
That's right. So that's
now
it.
Now and here.
So back to the question that was from the Greek gentleman, why do we need so many words? And I think partially it's because, and he said, we are asleep. And how do we cultivate a sense of presence and consciousness with ourselves in this room, in this world of distractions, where we can recognize each other's humanity and sit together and be present and now. And then, of course, whatever happens in the now is real. So I really appreciate you bringing that through. We have time for...
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have time for maybe two more, but as long as they're relatively concise. And I feel like one will come from the back there. Yeah, right there in the green shirt, on the balcony there. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for the mic. There's just I have so many reflections, so I don't know where to start. But I think just one of the things that really stood out to me was like a play from 1882, like how much of it resonated in 2026 was just amazing. And I know people have been talking about how, you know, you can really see like yourself in some of these characters. And for me, I do basic science research, and I think oftentimes it can be really hard to, I guess, help people understand or reach an audience that does not necessarily speak the same language as you. And I think that for me, watching this play, I think it really emphasized, I guess, the extreme importance of not only the ethics underlying the communication that we do, but also the art of it. And I think that in all of this, this was already mentioned, but how important humility is in this communication. I think it was really symbolic how the doctor and Peter, they were brothers, and even so, we got to see in the play just how they were just talking like they were enemies, and yet they were brothers by blood. And so it really got me thinking about, you know, the theme of like humanity at the core, like what it means to communicate in a position of humility and empathy. So that's sort of everything that was going through my mind.
Thank you so much. It's great to hear from a science researcher. There's a very, very forceful hand right behind you, and we're going to go there, and you're going to be our last person before we do, so get ready to sum everything up into one perfect statement. Just 1 second. I just want to say but what you just said was really powerful, that what does it mean to communicate with humility, and how that relates to the conference and to humanity at the core. Coming from a science researcher really does put a fine point on this conversation that we're trying to have here tonight. What does it actually mean to believe that there's wisdom in every crowd? What does it actually mean to believe that experiential knowledge is as important as epistemologically as that gained in school or in training? And how do we respect each other's types of knowledge in a way that builds communication across these divides? You know, one of the things I think about a lot is how theater creates the conditions for us to interrogate the fact that we're always playing roles. I'm playing the artist from New York City, or I'm playing the man from Virginia who's about to turn 50, or whatever it is. And the brother and the doctor and the mayor are playing roles, but are they the roles that they're playing? And are we the roles that we play? And can we, for a brief moment, step back and interrogate? Do we have to read the script, as was raised by someone in the early part of the conversation? Do we have to read the script that we're given, or can we speak off the script? And do we have agency when we do that? Or are we just capitulating to the people around us and the influence of those people? So you raised so many complicated things. I'm so glad you said what you said. No pressure to sum everything up into one perfect statement, but you're going to have the last word. Just to say, the first time we did Theater of War, it was for 400 Marines during the war in Afghanistan. And we scheduled a 45-minute discussion for those Marines, and the discussion lasted 3.5 hours, and it had to be cut off at midnight. And we're not going to do that here tonight, I promise you. No, actually, lock the doors. We're going to stay. No. Someday we'll be invited back to, I hope, to Nostos 30 or whatever it is, and we'll do a 9-hour event. We'll do an endurance event where everyone can just stay until dawn, and we'll continue the conversation till it ends. But unfortunately, all good things do come to an end. And so we're not here to put a bow on the conversation, but we'd love to hear from you before we sum everything up as best we can and thank our actors. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Elisa Lopez from Cape Verde. I'm a scientist in psychology. And I want to start with a quote that I read when I was young that says that intelligence without love is dangerous. And this is one of the things I take from this play. And another thing is actually a question. How many times in history we have ignored the truth because it felt uncomfortable for us, because it didn't sit well with what we thought it was right or wrong. For instance, the doctor, he was like right in his discoveries and all that, but the way he expressed it to people, and as a psychologist, I cannot stop to reinforce the power of communication. Just because you are right, it doesn't give you the right to be cruel or to think that you're better than others. And to end it is like, how many times? I want all of us to go out after this today and ask ourselves, how many times we have ignored the truth because it was hurtful and uncomfortable for us to sit with it. And also for us like that are in the part of science, our responsibility in how we communicate things with those that don't have the same knowledge that we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was a beautiful last word. Thank you. It's great to hear from scientists from all over the world, especially young scientists, in response to this play. It was wonderful to hear from the Youth Advisory Committee, both as actors but also as panelists, and I'd love to give them one more round of applause for their contributions tonight. Beautiful, beautiful. You're all hired. You can come on the road with us anytime you'd like. I want to leave you with a benediction that's the end of every single Theater of War performance, and it's simply this. If you relate to anything that's been said in this room, as evidenced by this conversation we've started but by no means finished, know this: you're not alone in this room. You're not alone across the world. There are people watching on YouTube Live and Vimeo who are connecting as well with this room and what's been said here. Most critically, you're not alone across time. This is a 144-year-old play, and much has changed since 1882, but we connected with lots of things that remain ever present in our lives, the struggles that continue. And that can be both affirming and it can also be dispiriting. And so I want to leave you with the final benediction, which is something someone said after an early performance at Theater of War. Someone stood up and answered a question I often ask audiences: why do you think the playwright wrote the play? And this individual, this woman, stood up in Washington, D.C., and she said, I think he wrote the play to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. And that's an old newspaper adage, I'm told, although it doesn't have a clear etymology, but lots of people in journalism come up to me when I say that afterwards and make sure that I quote it, because maybe that is also the role of journalism as well. I hope you were comforted by the many ways we came together tonight and connected across our international lines, across culture and time, and that we could have a connection by way of a performance and a conversation of this nature. And I'm hoping that you're also afflicted by the fact that there is so much more work to be done to heal our broken planet, our fractured and polarized cities and communities and states and world, that there's so much more work to be done to make sure that the waters are clean, the spiritual waters I'm talking about, but also the water itself. And it's with that sense of affliction that we leave you, with the hope that it leads during these preceding days at this beautiful conference and gathering to more connection, more dialogue, and most critically, to more action. I want to thank these actors with one last round of applause again for their performance, and also invite you guys to make your exit over the stage as quickly as possible. Thank you all so much. It's been an absolute honor to be with you tonight. Hope to see you next time. We're back at SNF Nostos. Thank you again.